Good morning, everyone. So, as some of you may know, sorry, just getting a seat here. I live in Toronto, the most beautiful city in the world, and I wanted to go on a walk by the waterfront. And talk about Anitube. I have been thinking a lot about content creators and people in general who work in media, UGC, and what the future is for them. Part of this is tied to like my current job search. I'm trying to advance in my career and I'm not sure if I want to stick with marketing or if I want to move on to something else. A big part of me growing in marketing though was because of anime. I did a lot of stuff for other anime content creators on TikTok and YouTube during the pandemic, and I decided to do my own stuff, and that helped me build up like a portfolio. And like I saw firsthand how anime, which was just a hobby, was able to be leveraged into something that can help me with my future, right? And as someone who grew up on comics and anime, I always felt that what's happening now with the popularity of anime is it was bound to happen. But I also think like a lot of the content creators who make anime, we don't get the respect that we deserve. The comic industry realized this in the 90s, and that's why creator-owned became such a big thing. That's why the artists and the writers became bigger than the characters that they were handling. But you can't fault anyone for that, right? You should be able to make money off of whatever your hobbies are. And I think critics as well, critics and commentators, Anitubers basically, you'll get some sort of return. I'm not saying people need to blow up and make money and shit. It's just, it's hard to love something and include it in your life in any capacity if you're not getting some sort of return. I've spoken about this before on my channel, about how it's important to, no matter how much you love something, get something out of it in return. And I don't know, it's not happening with Anitube. Shabes said a week or two ago that he's putting Anitube Digest on ice. That's okay. Other shows will rise in its wake and stuff, but fucking, even like Damo Senpai. I made a video about that last weekend, but I'm still kind of upset about it. Upset because the Anime Expo is going right now, and this dude who put so much time and effort into a series isn't even being recognized, right? I go into more detail about that in my video, so, you know, watch it or whatever. We could talk about it if you guys want. But, I don't know, it's just frustrating, man. Like, there's no way in hell. This guy put up 100 videos of this series. He genuinely loves the series, cares about it, puts on for the creator, puts on for the community for years of recognition. And it's like, oh, you're not gonna talk about the dude who helped popularize a series to English audiences? Do you know how ridiculous that is? Like, I'm sorry, like there's no way in hell you should turn your hobby into something that's lucrative, that gets views, and you don't get some sort of recognition for it. It's a really nice boat. It's always docked here at the water, but you can come on for like coffee and stuff. I think it's called the Empire Sandy. I come out to the water whenever I feel like working on a video. It's nice to write a script out here. I wanted to come out here today and talk about like the whole Anitube stuff. If, as I said in my video, if I was Damo, I would really triple down on creating a brand around everything that I do. Because people know him as the gotchi guy and the kagurabachi guy, but like, it's very clear that anime on the North American side does matter. Manga on the North American side does matter. People keep saying shit like, oh no, actually the audience doesn't matter when it comes to North American sales because it needs to be popular in Japan, it needs to sell well. There is some truth to that, but the reality is when series have sticking power, like when they have staying power, English numbers are always brought up. The Toronto Public Library, for example, will order manga because they know what's popular, right? They've done the numbers, they've done the crunching, they know who's reading what. They will go out to publishers and like request certain manga or know like when the date is, right? Like that's part of their budget. It's a multi-million-dollar budget that's always set up for stuff like that. If you go to brick and mortar bookstores, they're also trying to figure out like what kind of manga are people reading. It's not just about having random manga. So English numbers do matter. I think something else that you should do as an Anituber is bring up stuff like that, because if the publishers in Japan aren't going to recognize you, then maybe Kohl's will recognize you, maybe Chapters will recognize you, bookstores, opportunities like that to still make money. As an Anituber, you really have to leverage everything that you're doing for the anime or manga that you're into and find opportunities to grow with it. In order for me to grow as a business, for example, as a business owner, I have to consider what streams of revenue can I bring in, right? Even if I'm not selling the product that I absolutely love, if it's something that my audience likes, my demographic likes, I can build off of that. Maybe Damo, or maybe Anitubers in general, we need to have like a shotgun approach. You gotta cover a bunch of different series. You gotta cover a bunch of different animes. Hello, Nexo. No, I'm not trashing Trash Taste. I don't know. Like, see, the thing about Trash Taste is that the creators on that platform, they have a monopoly on anime content creation. They have a monopoly because they started so many years ago. And because of how YouTube is, they'll continue to push the large creators, but they won't do as much in the algorithm for smaller creators. So that's why someone like Joey could keep on talking about any anime he wants to with, on live streams and like low edited videos and stuff. And like I said, his content is good. It's just, it's easy for the guys on Trash Taste to get opportunities like these. They don't have to really look for them. It's easy for them to talk about anime for 20 minutes and then, that clip off their podcast will get like 500,000 views. And for all the other Anitubers, Damo Senpai, just to stay on topic, he puts in so much effort on a weekly basis, sometimes several videos a week, and there's nothing for him, right? There's nothing you can really do about it. We've tried like for years. Like I don't consider myself a big Anituber by any means, but how is it possible that my gotchi videos are pulling in the same number as his? How is it possible that I'm recognized as much for my negative slant on reviewing stuff when he's actually like trying to build up a community, right? The monopoly that already exists for these big creators, they have jeopardized any future growth for smaller creators, and it's not even like a random thing to say. That's the truth. We have the numbers for it. Do you have any recommendations, Nexo, about Anitubers? I watch a lot of smaller Anitubers as well, but yeah, I agree with Trash Taste. Like, I like Trash Taste. I watched clips of the podcast, but I watched, I think, the first 50 episodes, and as much as I really liked it, it's not really the kind of content I like watching from anybody all the time. I like their specials, though, like... You know what's funny? I've seen the Weeb Crew. I am subscribed to them. I don't watch all their videos, but I'll pop in like here and there. I fucking love what I've heard so far. I think it's a great podcast, great channel. I believe it's like a whole channel. But the one thing I would say as to why they haven't grown, and I feel like this with a lot of other anime podcasts, is that like they need to do video. They need to have video for their guests and stuff. Like, you have to put a face to the brand and the channel. It's great to talk about anime, but like, do you ever pick up on the fact that reaction channels are so popular and they're always hyping up about, holy shit, this just happened? And I fucking hate that sort of content, right? Like, I have nothing against reaction videos. I like reaction shit. But reaction anime content never sat well with me. It's so easy for it's so easy for an anime content creator to watch an episode and pretend they're like super hyped up about someone transforming or some character dying. Bro, I've been watching anime my entire fucking life. I have never reacted to any anime the same way I see reaction tubers act. It's weird. It's so overly dramatized, right? And it feels like very childish content. But those are the anime or anime adjacent creators who end up blowing up because people like that. It's the lowest common denominator. I think the Weeb Crew, which has like otaku who know what they're talking about and genuinely care about anime and not just whatever's popular or trending. If they're not putting their face to it, if they're not doing video, it's hard for them to like build up a general audience, a sort of mainstream normie audience, right? Fucking normies will watch anything. The OA, I just watched the OA. I didn't know how popular that show was, but a lot of normies watched it, and you know they had the same thoughts that I did. So I feel like sometimes we don't give enough credit to the audience. They'll genuinely like something, even if it's super esoteric and super otaku, but you have to create some sort of branding around it, personality, in order for them to enjoy it, right? You want to create a podcast or a channel where people come for you, not just what you're talking about. This way, they trust you, right? You're creating goodwill with a person, and they'll follow you for your recommendations. They'll always pay attention to your content because they like your vibe, they like your opinion. React channels, they do nothing for me. Like, I don't know what your personality is, right? You can react to every chapter of a series. You can react to every single episode of an anime. Like, what are you really doing? What value are you bringing to the community? Are you even an Anituber? Next, so what animes have you watched recently? Yeah, I've reacted with hype and stuff too, right? Like, especially series like Naruto or Dragon Ball. Like, I grew up on that stuff, so rewatching it, I get super excited and nostalgic. So I do shout like holy shit, Naruto did Sage Mode. You know, I remember when I first saw that, like 2009 or whatever, right? When I was a kid. So it's like a rush of emotions to me. And there's value to that experience when it comes to watching anime or even watching reaction content. But, you know, like, people act like every episode of every anime that comes out is Demon Slayer Season 1, Episode 19. And it's like, how do I fucking trust your opinion when you're watching some dog shit slice of life or some boring isekai and you're hyping up? You're doing it for the algorithm. You're doing it because you're trying to make cheap content. I don't know. And just to bring this back to Damo, for people who are coming in and out of the chat, I'm talking about stuff I've been observing with the Anitube community, Damo Senpai in particular, and just other creators who invest in series. I'm talking about how Anitubers really need to diversify their content to make it more professional and look for opportunities outside of just working directly with the publishers, because there needs to be something more for Anitube. There needs to be a stronger return for people who care about anime and are making great anime content, not just on like YouTube, but also Twitter and Threads, social media, TikTok, Instagram, even Nextdoor. I see people talking about anime on Nextdoor. I would love to see like a stronger conversation built around that, not just, oh, what's everyone watching this week? What's the hype shit? Kaiju number 8 was mid. Ranger Reject was good, and still watching Yoza Family. Yeah, Kaiju number 8, it is so mid, bro. I fully agree with you. But it's not bad. It's very, very fucking mid. Like, I don't drop series. I'll put them on ice for a bit, but Kaiju number 8 is one of the few where I would not care if I never read another chapter. I'm going to, like, I have to. I'm working on the Kaiju number 8 video, but I keep putting it off because the series is not good. It's just not good. Ranger Reject is good too. I got into a little bit of it. My friend recommends it. That's the same creator as Quintessential Quintuplets, I think. For anime that I've watched recently, Cyberpunk Edgerunners. I know I'm late to the party, but I finally watched Edgerunners, and I think it is fantastic. I wish it was like 2 episodes longer just so we could spend some more time with the characters. But Edgerunners really was one of the finest modern series I've seen in general. It's really hard to take an established IP and, you know, transfer it over to a different media and have it hit just as hard. But Edgerunners was such a great story. Fucking loved the direction, loved the music, the act was so good. I definitely see why it got so much accolades when it first came out. But yeah, it was a great series. I love Rebecca. She's one of my favorite characters. I stan Rebecca so hard. Yeah, I agree. Yo, you know, I agree with you, and I feel the same way. Like, I'm 32 as well, so when you see a character who's 32 and they act like a child, it makes no sense. And it makes me wonder, why would you create such an old character? Like, you can't really do anything with a 30-odd-year-old character. They're not supposed to have character development. They're already supposed to be a developed personality. And Kaiju number 8, it's like he's acting like a 10-year-old kid. I don't fucking care. I don't get it. It's like, I feel that was maybe the hook. The hook was, this is a mature character, right? And when Kaiju number 8 first came out, it was during that era where a lot of shonens had the blue-collar worker or the down-on-his-luck person who's getting to like the corporate world or the organization off-rip. Chainsaw Man, for example. Chainsaw Man was about that. Fucking Full Night's about that. God. Kaiju number 8. There were a couple shonen manga like that too. Doran Dororan came out, I think like 2 years ago, and it had that vibe though. I gotta find work. I gotta be mature. I gotta bust ass for my family. Aliens Area was like that. So I think with Kaiju number 8, like the art and the Kaiju thing, also like Kaijus are popping off again. It was good timing, but the story overall does nothing because the main character just fucking sucks. He's not very good. Across from where I'm at right now, that's Toronto Island, Billy Bishop Airport. That's where me and my friends go sometimes during the week. All of my friends work from home and we live close to the water, so we'll occasionally go out to the beaches and stuff. It's really nice. Very fun vibe. I think I'll make a video out there too. Because I've been doing a lot of my manga reading outside as well. As I mentioned, like I'll just pull up to the benches over there, sit down and read shit. Or write scripts for my videos. Next, so thanks for watching, man. I really appreciate it. Wish it was sunny for me right now. Where are you at? Or what time What time of the day is it for you? You know, I always want to put my videos out, regardless of however I feel with who's watching them or the reception I'll get. But to be honest, I don't think I want to put out my gotchi video right now. I did a series review, and it kind of follows the same vein as my other videos. It's just a bit longer. But thinking about Damo and what he's going through, I feel like it would kind of take away from the attention that Gotchi Akita needs, which is like fan enrichment, instead of just trying to like dump on the series. So I was thinking of maybe putting that video on ice. Sweden, sick. "2025, I want to spend some time in Europe. I have a friend who moved out there, and she absolutely loves it. She came back to Toronto to visit, and she was talking about her time over in Europe." Sweden would be a great place to visit, though. I would absolutely love to go. Next, so do you have any recommendations aside from what you had posted? I haven't watched the anime for Yoza Family yet, and I'm not going to keep up with kaiju. I'll probably wait till like the end of the year to get caught up. I feel bad about Shabes ending AntiTube Digest as well. He explained why, and you know, I'm really looking forward to that last episode he posts. But I really wish that he could have kept it going with that series. It's really nice. I think it's just like a year or two away from really cracking, and even his regular YouTube stuff. I feel like he's so close. You don't know how close you are until you're finally there, right? Any show, new shows, doesn't matter. I'll take any recommendations. I'm free this week, so I want to really spend time watching anime and getting caught up on manga. Yeah, Shabes is excellent, man. I stan him so hard. Like, I don't want to come off glazing, but like, I genuinely like Shabes' work. Like, he's just a friendly dude. He does a lot for the community. And I've always liked people who showcase others, regardless of size. And like, there's like a, like, I'm not sure how to explain it, but it's a good vibe to know that like you could be seen in the same light and featured in the same video as someone who has like 500,000 subscribers, 1 million subscribers. You know, oh shit, your video was seen as better than Joey's video this week, right? Like, AntiTube Digest was really good for that, and the community needs that. The NBA is as popular as it is today because they recognize how important it is to have talking heads and have someone sit down and speak about this player who had a great highlight, but he plays for a shitty team, so like no one knows about him. And that's how it works with AntiTube. Sometimes you just need to have a small creator, have someone, even if it's another small creator, recognize them and put them on the same page, or put them in a platform where bigger names and other eyes will see, right? I also think there needs to be more collaboration in AntiTube because that's how everyone grows. Your business will grow when you start collaborating with other businesses in the community. You as an artist become stronger when you collaborate with others. And a lot of AntiTubers, I feel like they haven't picked up on that. That's why I really like what Shabes did, because it's kind of like a collaboration with, you know, like a dozen people every installment. Eureka 7. I love Eureka 7. I definitely need to do a rewatch. I watched it on YTV back in the day. It's one of my favorite animes. You have great taste. A lot of people don't talk about Eureka 7. Wicked, amazing show. I think Eureka 7 came out during an era where anime still had some prestige to it. I'm not saying that isn't the case, but there are a lot of really thought-provoking anime from the early to mid-2000s. And Eureka 7 stands out. Fun fact, Anemone in Eureka 7, I love that name, and she was like one of my waifus, man. I really stand her. It was like her, Dark Magician Girl. I'm such a loser. Oh my god, you could tell my type. I like a chick who has fiery hair with a fiery personality. That sort of chaos, that mental thing, that's totally me. But Eureka 7, great series. I will do a rewatch of that. I really enjoyed Ranting as a character too. I don't remember why I stopped watching Eureka, because I know the ending, but I didn't finish it. I think I got to like one of the time jumps or something. I just remember the hair got longer. But there was something about Ranting I wasn't really into. Maybe, I think it was his voice actor. Because it's not coming to me right now, but I remember hearing that voice all over the place. And I was like, wow, Ranting. I can't hear this dude speak. So annoying, like get off the fucking screen. I cared about everyone else in Eureka 7 more than Ranting. Was it called the Mirvash? The Nirvash, I think it was? The name of the ship? I thought that was cool too. Yeah, in dub. I only watched it in dub. Maybe that's why, because it was a mid-2000s dub. I should watch Eureka 7 in Japanese. Hey, Ryan, what's good? Good afternoon. We are walking around the waterfront, talking about anime, talking about some of my video plans. I need to find a place that sells alcohol. There's no place that sells alcohol right now. Yeah, bro, it's nice. Really nice day. Super sunny, and I wanted to come out. This place is where I usually write my scripts for my videos nowadays. I'll come by the water and just chill here. Yeah, we want to do something more than beer. We want to have like a night where we black out and forget. Yeah, Nexo, I watched E7 in dub on YTV. Back then, the only stuff that I was like really into was dubbed anime, because I got a lot of Japanese VHSs back in the day, but there were no subtitles, so I grew frustrated with it. I was seeing all these cool images, but I couldn't make out anything. So I just kind of grew accustomed to watching dub stuff, and I didn't really start watching anime only in Japanese with subtitles until like maybe 2009 or so. Before that, it was just purely manga. Purely manga. That's it. Like even like Naruto Shippuden, I never fucking watched Shippuden. I haven't watched a single episode of that series, but I read the manga. I just don't see a point, right? Like it's Naruto. Aside from like better animation and choreography, I don't see how the anime really adds anything to the series. So I don't really care about the voices and stuff. Ryan, I only watch anime dub now. Yeah. I guess because like pretty much all anime has simuldubs. Well, not all, but a lot of them do. I watched Cyberpunk entirely in English. I watched a couple episodes in Japanese, but I actually preferred the English dub. I really liked that. "70% rubbing alcohol." Yeah, I could try that too. Why not? You seen Anitube and Algorithms vid by Is Your Guy? No, but I will watch that. Thank you for letting me know, Nexo. I take it it's a video about the algorithm and how it impacts Anitubers, right? Oh my god, I'm dying. Last night I went to a club called Isabel's in Toronto. And there was this girl wearing a Hunter x Hunter tee, and not one of the Uniqlo ones, like an actual weeb Hunter x Hunter tee. She was such a baddie. It's crazy how common it is to see anime merch and stuff being worn by normies everywhere. I was just sitting in a random club and she's like buzzed out of her mind. She's just vaping in the club and we started talking about Hunter x Hunter. It's so cool. I'll never get over that. How normalized this stuff is. So I'm gonna wear some weeb stuff as well to the club tonight. I've been buying a bunch of those Uniqlo tees for the gym, but all the rave bays are into anime, so I think I'll have to start wearing them to the clubs and events. Yes, the dub is really good. A lot of dub has gotten so much better over time, but it still carries the stigma of late 80s, early 90s dub. Yeah. This kind of ties into what I was saying from earlier. Everything that you do when it comes to starting in a niche community has to be done well, because people will look back on it, and if it's not of high quality, it will be forgotten. How many great animes will never be watched again because they had a subpar dub? One Piece lost its initial footing in North America because of how chopped and screwed that dub was. But even the voices, right? Like, voices do matter. People don't want to hear annoying anime voices anymore. They want like actual talent. Or even if it is kind of like whimsical in nature, it needs to fit with the theme of the show, right? So I agree with you, Ryan. Dubs are definitely a lot better. I do remember some dubs being absolute dog shit back in the day. The original Sailor Moon dub, holy shit, Serena's voice was annoying. That guy made a website that recommends Anitubers, mostly smaller Anitubers. Okay, that's great. I really appreciate that. Thank you. I'm gonna check it out, because I do want to keep on getting into more Anitubers. I was even thinking of doing something like what Shabes did, just have like a segment of a show that talks about creators and stuff. I'm not sure what I would do, nor do I have the consistency that Shabes does, but it's I really think small Anitubers need to keep on trying to big up one another, speak about one another's plights, and help each other grow, because it will be better for the whole community, right? Yeah, it's cool now, but I wonder what it will take for it to become uncool again. I kind of think it's happening a little bit, in the sense that anime is so normalized, you don't blink, right? Like, I don't think you can approach someone today and strike up a conversation about them because they're wearing a Yu Yu Hakusho t-shirt. But, 10, 15 years ago, yeah, that guy would become your friend. So maybe that normalization is going to lead to people just becoming exhausted with anime and manga, the same way people became exhausted with Looney Tunes. I don't know. But yeah, when you're seeing that stuff like all over the place, it's so common, it makes you wonder, like, oh, what is this, the bubble? Is the bubble about to burst? My gripe with dub now is it feels like the same voice actors do every show. All right, take care, Ryan. Thank you for stopping by. Appreciate it. I'll look into some more modern anime and, well, modern dub anime and see if what Ryan's saying is true about like the whole. Seems like everyone's doing the same show, or sorry, the same actors are doing the same show. Welcome to the NHK, right? I think I read a bit of the manga, and I did like it a lot, but I didn't actually get through all of it. But I'll check out the anime for NHK. Thanks again for the recommendation. Yeah, you're putting me on this morning, man. I really appreciate it. You know what's funny? Habene Renmi. Is that the one with like the girl who has metal angel wings or something? I'm pretty sure I've seen it, but I don't think I've actually watched it. Like I've heard of the anime. Habene Renmi. Okay, I'll get into that too. Okay, angel wings, but not metal. All right, thank you. Next up, do you think that the same vibe of anime from the 90s and 2000s, that thought, that care, do you think it'll ever return to modern anime? Not saying that it doesn't exist, but more shows feel very vapid. I think anime in general is in a better place, but I just think there were better shows, like critically acclaimed shows, thought-provoking shows back in the day before it really blew up. And I wonder if we'll ever get that again. I don't know if you would like Habene though. Why? What wouldn't I like about it? If anime slowed down with the mass production, maybe it can come back. Yeah, yeah. I can see that being a thing. Because you're hearing about studios going through a lot of basically trauma trying to get these shows out, which isn't unheard of. I remember Cowboy Bebop having a lot of production issues as well. But I don't know. I don't know if it will really slow down though. The same way I said I think anime is in a bubble. I think, and like the studios know better than anyone, right? Like they know if the cost of labor is going to go far beyond the return on investment for a show. They know if they're not getting the payouts or the salaries that justify them wanting to stay with the studio for like decades. So I can totally see basically the rug being pulled with the anime industry, and then like the bubble pops. I'm not saying anime will ever go away, but you know, I feel like we have a lot of anime, like way too much anime, and because there's a lot of money to be made right now, I don't see the industry actually slowing down anytime soon. Eventually it will, but I wouldn't be surprised if we get even more anime within the next 18 months. Imagine if Netflix was dropping a new anime every season. Like they do. They have their own like anime funded stuff, but Devilman Crybaby or like Japan Sinks, like those sorts of like originals or marquee shows. Imagine if something new like that was coming out every single month on each service provider. Apple has theirs, Netflix has theirs. You start getting indie studios who are branching off into big studios who are putting out their projects as well, right? Swung Cookie, easier to sell easier to sell waifu figurines than anything thought-provoking. Yeah, you know, I agree with you, man, but or I'm not mad. I don't know. Thank you for coming by, Swan Cookie. But like, you can have thought provoking, but also have cute waifus. Evangelion is like that. Like, we know that Evangelion has the ultimate marketing push for anime waifus that we've ever seen, ever. Like, there are people who've never watched a single episode of Ava, but they recognize Asuka and Ray. That's still a great fucking show. Why can't we create great shows? Like Gurren Lagann, great show. But also a waifu that you can sell and target. And now it's just, let's have like 8 interchangeable women and push them for the show. Like, that's not anime to me. That just seems like you wanted to make a quick buck. Very good point, Cookie. Thank you. Nexo. Habane is very slow burn. Okay, yeah, so you're right. I don't mind slow burns, but slow burn anime never really did it for me. I don't mind it though, but I will give it a shot. Thank you. I don't mind slow burn, actually. I do enjoy it, but more so like reading slow burns or watching slow burn movies, just because it's not as large of a commitment. Like 10 episodes, 20 episodes of a slow burn series is very hard for me to get through. So many studios pump out so much while not having enough labor and with poor work conditions. Yep. And the only way to counter against that is you need unions or you need to go independent. And we know how expensive it is to produce anime, so independent studios, independent projects don't really work out. And labors, unions, that stuff isn't really respected in Japan. I get it. So next, so I want to build off that comment. Something I never understood is why people want to work for Bones. Why do they want to work for MAPPA? Like, you know what you're getting into, right? I'm not saying that you won't get a lot of experience or you won't be able to work on great projects, but if you know you're going to work for a sweatshop, why? Like, why do it and then complain about it afterwards? Like, do you really care about the anime industry if you're choosing to work at MAPPA? No one put a gun to your head and said work there, right? And I get there's multiple sides to it. I personally believe that all artists should struggle a bit for their work. It's just the nature of the beast. But these studios, like, they really don't care. They'll churn through so many of these hardworking, experienced artists and make them hate what they do, and they'll just move on to the next project, all for profit. But like, how do you stop it, right? If people keep on choosing to work for these companies, then I think passion keeps them alive and keeps going. Yeah, I agree. But passion ends at some point, right? I'm passionate about what I do right now, but passion won't buy me a nice big house. And I'm not saying I need a big house, but like, whatever your goal is in life, will passion pay the bills? Will passion help your business grow? Will passion help your career? I want these artists to do well too, because I feel like they don't understand how mercurial anime was a big part of many people's lives in North America. I can only speak on behalf of Toronto, but I know a lot of people who, even if they weren't like anime fans or otaku, they remember an anime that they watched with their siblings on YTV, or they had a partner who was into anime and like they watched a bunch of shows together. Like, anime is really special, and if these animators knew the power that they have through their talent, the mangaka, all the animators, I really think there would be better opportunities for them if they came together and realized what they're doing. Toei has a union, that's why many people like working with them. Yeah, which is good. They and they also work with internationals as well. I like that. But Toei's been around for so long too, right? Like, they've established so much goodwill, and there's in the public eye, so they kind of have to do well. But that is a good point. I think working for Toei would be the best thing for an animator to do if they wanted to keep on working in the anime industry. But I don't know. Like I hear about Mappa, and it's like that's crazy, man. How are you working for a studio that's making you guys work so hard for so little? Like you might as well put the same amount of time working at these studios into doing your own work, like on Twitter or any of those other sites, webtoons. Like build your own product, your own IP. Even if you do end up working for the big corpos at some point, I think there's value in, as an artist, trying to do your own thing independently, because at the very least, the same amount of time you're putting in, you're either building up a strong portfolio of work that you own, that you've created, or you can be recognized for your skills and get poached by one of the bigger studios, but they'll come at you with a better offer, better working conditions. It's not just, oh, you want to work for Shueisha, so we're going to pay you this rate, and now you have to work like this. Oh, so we're going to cancel your manga after 19 chapters, right? Like that's ridiculous. But if they're coming to you because you blew up on Twitter and people really like your content, and you're trending often, then they're going to offer you a better work contract. You're going to get better working conditions. And you can still work for Shueisha, just, you're protected. Of course, passion can't fix everything, but I think they want to share it. Yeah. Sometimes I think I'm too business oriented, and I forget that when it comes to the arts, like sometimes people just genuinely love what they're doing day in, day out. I love what I'm doing, but like I always need to see a paycheck with anything that I do, anything at all. And like I encourage people to pursue money and be business oriented in the arts. My auntie is a professional artist, and like for her entire life she's been an artist. Like she made money that way. But she spends more time doing like the business side of art than like actual painting, right? Or curating or putting together galleries for other artists, right? Some people would say that like, oh, you're a sellout, like you only care about how much money you can make when you're doing art. But at the same time, if my auntie wants to work on a personal project, which she has done, she could do it at her own time with all the resources that she accumulated because of how business oriented she was as an artist. And she does well for herself. Her and her husband, they were able to capitalize on real estate. They're able to travel. They've worked with the American government, the Canadian government. They've been all over the world, and they do this as people who work in the creative industry. So like, if I can see firsthand how someone who was drawing pencil, paper in like the 80s and the 90s, if I can see firsthand how they can become wildly successful in their field and be comfortable doing the projects that they want, I don't see why other artists can't do the same, which is why I'm always so harsh on some of these mangaka. Artists don't value themselves enough. And I'll bring this back to Shabes. I think that's why Shabes recognizes that. I can't speak on his behalf, right? I don't really know him like that, but it makes sense. You make YouTube videos for so long, you work so hard on these anime videos, and like they're not popping off. It makes you wonder, like, why keep going? Go at your own rate, yeah, but like maybe just make one great video a year instead of trying to do like one great video a month. If I were to do an anime type show, it would probably be very similar to what Anitube Digest is. And I would definitely focus on smaller creators. Thank you, by the way, Nexo, thanks again for sending me that info. I think that's something that needs to go on. Like you can't just ignore smaller Anitubers. There are some really talented people out there. When I start making vids later on in the future, I really don't care about money. Of course, it's a bonus, but I just want to share my perspectives and shit. Next, so what sort of videos would you be interested in doing, or what AntiTubers inspire you? Let me know when you start creating your content, by the way. Yeah, and it's good not to care about money, right? Like, if you can find money doing other stuff, or if your means are taken care of, then yes, that's fine. Make videos for what you want to do, for sure. But if you ever see an opportunity, Nexel, where you can capitalize on your videos, I would recommend you do it. But again, it seems like you have really good taste in anime and stuff, so I would look forward to the kind of content you make. You know, I want to talk about anime tourists. I've been seeing it a lot on Twitter, and maybe I should make a video about anime tourists as well. But it seems like there are a lot of them. They're coming in, they're watching anime, or they just got into anime, and series like Mushoku Tensei ruins it for them. And you know, I feel a bunch of ways about this. Some of you may know, like, I'm not huge on fan service, despite the fact that, like, I think series should have fan service to whatever extent they think is appropriate for their story. It's just it's annoying to see, like, a lot of people who just got into anime and, like, they can't understand why the media has certain things, right? Like, I don't like Dragon Maid, Kobayashi's Dragon Maid. It's just not for me, and I'm a huge otaku. But I would never, like, hop on social media and start yelling, "Oh shit, why are you watching this series? Why are you supporting this series?" Like, when I saw that happening, it kind of confused the fuck out of me, because it's like, guys, you know what Kobayashi's Dragon Maid is. You know who it's targeted to. It's a certain demographic that spends good money on series like this, and they genuinely like it. So there's no reason to, like, flip your fucking lid just because it's not an anime that's made for you. Not every anime is lowest common denominator, right? So it's like, what's the point of this conversation still happening when you have people complaining about that show? What's it called? My Wife Got Turned Into a Sixth Grader or whatever. I remember the manga for that. I think there was like a manga where they were talking about it, and I looked into the details of the series. It's actually pretty cool. It's similar to a book that I read called Naoko, which is about a mom whose spirit is put into the body of her daughter after her husband basically sees his daughter grow up, but it's like the spirit of his wife, and he has to, like, learn to live with that, and kind of, like, you just see, like, change over time how they come to terms with, like, the loss of life. And there's always, like, the wonder of, like, does his wife still see him as a husband? Will she move on? I really loved Naoko, so I don't know if that series is similar to that, but it seems like it's like that, and that's a very wholesome approach, right? These anime tourists, they look at, like, the description of an anime and they don't understand, like, oh, this is a hook, this is supposed to drive me in. Maybe there's going to be some questionable content, but I want to see what this hook is about. These tourists, like, they don't pay attention to that. They just get so fucking pissed. And I thought about making a video about that, because I think it's a little dangerous when you have someone on social media talking about how dangerous an anime is supposed to be if it normalizes that sort of behavior, that sort of content. Meanwhile, it doesn't cover that sort of content at all. Like, that's just lying. Doesn't sit well with me. Skull Knight. Hey, what's good, Skull Knight? What's your thoughts about manga made by Westerners, like Manga Plus creators? I honestly haven't read much, to be honest, but I think it's a great idea. Manga could be made by anybody, just so long as you follow the aesthetic, right? Like, sure, is it made by a Japanese person? No. Is it set in a place that's not Japan? More than likely. Is it going to be as similar to other Japanese manga? Probably not, but I would love to see more Westerners embrace making manga. And I should start covering them too, because a lot of them are very talented. a North American standpoint, a North American perspective while creating manga, if done well, could be a really good product. Some of my inspirations are Argon Bolt, Shabes, Culture Crusader, Higata, Phenom Sage, and Sinchi. Nexo, you do have great taste. Yeah, thanks for popping in. I really appreciate it. Great question, Skull Knight. Yeah, Nexo, it seems like you enjoy the sort of creator who has like a very analytical perspective for series. And I think for that kind of content as well, a lot of those creators are older. They've been in the scene for a while, so they've seen like the changes in anime, they know the ebbs and flows, and that's why they approach it from that perspective. Newer Anitubers, basically people who got into anime recently, I don't really connect with them on the same way. It's a cultural thing though. It's not about the quality of their work, it's just the way that they grew up with anime and how they digested it. It's why I don't really like modern day One Piece readers, because they interpret the series completely differently. Everyone I know who was watching One Piece in the early 2000s, reading One Piece from the 90s, like, it's always been a popular series, so it's not like, oh yeah, I'm an OG fan because I was able to pick up on this before everyone else. One Piece has always been normie and popular, but for as great as it is, I think it gets glazed so hard by people who binge watched it, who read like 600 chapters during the pandemic, and then they've been following week by week, and it doesn't make sense to me, right? Your experience with a almost 30-year property is going to be vastly different from mine, who I've been there from almost the beginning, right? And when they start talking about like Oda did this, Oda foreshadowed for that, and it's like, no, not really. I'm not saying Oda doesn't foreshadow, but like he's not that sort of writer. He never showed those qualities as a writer early on. So when you start glazing an artist, an author like that, it confuses me. It's like, are you really paying attention, or are you just trying to hype up this series because that's how journalism is for you? That's normalized for you. That style of writing, that style of media does nothing for me. All the TikTok creators as well, like it's hard for me to take what they have to say seriously. Can't really get into new gen Zoomers, Anitubers with heavy TikTok editing type beat, even though a Zoomer myself. Nexo, you know what? So I'm millennial, but my two younger sisters are Gen Z, and it's weird. Like, it's weird to talk about it because I feel like I'm overly aging myself. There's not that much of a difference between an artist who learned something and they're like 23 compared to someone who's been doing it for 10 years longer than them. But yeah, like the Gen Z creators are very different. The way they edit, it's like, yo, you could just stay on the page for like 10 seconds. You don't have 10 seconds to absorb something. Like, every 2 seconds you need to have something flashing on screen. You have to have some sort of motion at all times. And I edit a little bit in the Gen Z style just to keep my videos engaging as well. My retention numbers show it. But nah, man, it's hard for me to sit through like multiple pieces of content from any Gen Z anime TikToker. Visually, it's just very hard. Okay guys, I've been streaming for like an hour. My battery's gonna die and I have to find alcohol. I think I'll do another stream, if not today, tomorrow, but I want to thank everyone for coming by and all the questions. Nexo especially, like, you're gonna help me with content for this week, so I'll definitely credit you. But thank you guys. I hope you enjoyed the walk by the waterfront. We'll check out some other places later on. I think maybe I passed the wine rack, I'm not sure. But yeah, thank you. I really appreciate you guys. Take care. See ya.